Welcome into Duval Daily. I'm Jordan Lugo. Thank you so much for tuning in here on Friday, July 14th. Today, we are talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars, obviously, but we're going to take a look at where the Jaguars can be elite in 2023. Where do they have potential superpowers within this roster and within this football team that can really set them apart from a lot of their opponents that they're going to face this year? So, excited to dive into it. First, like to remind you, hit me up on Twitter at Jordan DeLugo. Hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoy the content on YouTube. Notification bell so you don't miss a show. If you want to support the channel further, go check out genjag.com/shop. You can pick up some new Duval gear. We've got a card above here. You can click, get right to the website, check out some of the gear we've got going on for you. Really appreciate your support. Thanks for tuning in. Let's dive into it. All right, so Jacksonville Jaguars, where can they be elite within their roster, within their football team in 2023? I think you start with the passing game. Clearly, Doug Peterson is one of the best passing game minds in the league, former quarterback himself, and he's just done a tremendous job with all the quarterbacks he's worked with and with the offenses he's worked with to design offenses, right? Stems from the West Coast, but he's really kind of evolved as a play caller throughout his career. He's got a lot of motion stuff, a lot of the stuff that really helps your passing offense out, and he really is able to get his guys open. He has talented receivers. He had talented receivers last year, even more talented receivers this year, adding Calvin Ridley to the mix, adding a couple other pieces as well through the draft that you can throw the football to. I think Trevor Lawrence's maturation in year two in Doug Peterson's system, combined with the addition of Calvin Ridley, who does still look like a legitimate wide receiver one. Christian Kirk in the slot, right? You still have Zay Jones. You added Britton Strange. You added Parker Washington. Jamal Agnew is a nice little weapon as well. I think Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby and JaMychal Hasty can all do some things for you out of the backfield. That's not going to be a main proponent of the Jaguars offense, but something you can do as well there. I just think the passing offense is going to have a chance to explode. It was really effective over the back half of the 2022 season and into the playoffs. Trevor Lawrence clearly took a step forward following that Broncos loss in London, and I think you're just going to continue to see that and continue to see it grow even more. Again, with the maturation of Trevor Lawrence, with Calvin Ridley being added to the mix, who's going to open up the field for everyone else, with the running game perhaps being even better than it was in 2022 as well. So I think the Jaguars have a potentially elite passing offense. And look, if you're going to have an elite area of your football team, having an elite passing offense is about as good as it gets these days. That's what you need to win the big game, to win in the playoffs and get yourself to the Super Bowl and have a chance to win. You have to have an elite passing offense. I think the Jaguars have a really good chance at having an elite passing offense in 2023. So next up for me is the Jaguars run defense, which was really good already in 2022. I think with another year in Mike Caldwell's system with Devin Lloyd and Chad Muma, the guys who have been playing next to Foye Oluokun, who's an elite run defender on his own. I think with those two guys going into year two, not only of this system, but year two in the NFL, you're going to see better results from them in the running game with Devin Lloyd and Chad Muma both taking a step forward. I think that having Trayvon Walker and Josh Allen as your starting edge rushers and base is really, really good for the run defense, right? Those are very good, stout, big, athletic run defenders on the edge. And then Devon Hamilton took a big step forward in the middle last year. He got paid by the team. I think Foley Fatukasi, if he's able to stay healthy with Roy Robertson Harris as your two base defensive ends, I think you've got a really strong unit there. And I think that there's depth throughout the defensive line. They added Tyler Lacey. They've added some quality players both to the defensive line and to the linebacking core this offseason. So I think when you look at it, and those guys are really more run stoppers than they are pass rushers, I think that the Jaguars already had a really good run defense. I think moving into year two of Mike Caldwell's system, it's going to get better. I think by nature of Mike Caldwell understanding how to use his guys better, and by the guys understanding the system better and growing in the system, and then adding a little bit of talent and depth, I think is going to ensure that the Jaguars have a really good run defense unit. Foye Oluokun has led the league in tackles for the last 2 seasons, led the league in stops as well. PFF stat that indicates whether a tackle was a positive impact play for you. Like if you make a tackle 15 yards downfield after a guy gets a first down, not really that big of a play. But if you make a tackle on third down short of the sticks, that is a huge play. That is a stop. Foye Oluokun led the league in stops. I think he's going to continue to be up towards the top. I think Devin Lloyd will get a bunch this year. If Chad Muma gets his opportunities, he'll be there too. Ventrell Miller is a really good run defender. Don't know when he'll be healthy and how much playing time he might get, if any, in year one, but he was a fourth-round pick, so someone to watch. I just think when you look at this run defense, what they did last year, what they can do in 2023, they have a chance to be one of the best run defense units in the entire league in 2023. Now, I don't think the Jaguars' pass defense necessarily has a shot at being elite. There's a little bit too many holes for me when I look at nickel. I don't think Trey Herndon gives you a chance to really have an elite player at that position. Maybe one of the younger guys steps up and can be a little bit more impactful than Trey, but Trey's okay. He's just not dominant. And when you don't have three big-time corners, I don't think you have a great shot at having a really great passing defense. Look, I love Andre Sisco. Rayshon Jenkins is a playmaker. He's not really a consistent coverage player. When you look at playing next to Foye Oluokun, Devin Lloyd, and Chad Muma, they both struggled in coverage last year. They're going to have to take massive steps forward for the linebackers to really grade out as a good pass coverage unit. And then when you talk about the pass rush, I think there's some pieces there, but I still think you need a little bit more. So when I look at the totality of the Jaguars' pass defense, even though I do really like Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker, and I do really like Tyson Campbell and Darius Williams outside at corner, I just don't think there's enough there to really get into that elite category. I think they'll take a step forward overall as a pass defense, but I don't think that they're going to just jump into the top 5 or top 10 in the league in that regard this year. Now, if they go out and make a couple moves, perhaps it could happen, but at this point, I don't see it. And the final place I have the Jaguars being an elite team or potentially elite team is special teams, right? They've placed a huge emphasis on special teams with this regime. They brought in Heath Farwell last year to be the special teams coordinator. I think he's done a tremendous job both here and in Buffalo for the most part. They have Logan Cook, one of the very best punters in the game. They brought in Brandon McManus, who's one of the most accurate kickers inside of 50 in the game, and one of the best kickers from 50 plus. One of the few guys who you can really trot out there and expect him to potentially make a 60 plus yard field goal for you. And so I think bringing in Brandon McManus was huge for them. And then Jamal Agnew, he was recovering from a pretty big injury at the beginning of 2022. You started kind of seeing him as a dominant punt returner and kick returner again down the stretch for the Jaguars during their stretch run where they were able to go on a winning streak and make the playoffs. And then in the playoffs, he was pretty damn impressive as well as a return man. So I think when you look at kicker, punter, returner, you've got one of the best groups in the league there. I think Heath Farwell is a great coach, and they have brought in so many guys that are going to contribute on special teams. They continue to do it every year, right? This year they brought in Antonio Johnson, Ventrell Miller. They brought back Andrew Wingard, who's a core special teamer. They still have Chris Claybrooks, who's a great special teamer. Daniel Thomas, Shaquille Quarterman. The list goes on with guys that can make a big impact for them on special teams outside of kicker, punter, kick returner. So I think when you look at the three units that have a chance to be elite for the Jaguars in 2023, it is that passing game led by Doug Peterson, Trevor Lawrence, Calvin Ridley, and Christian Kirk. It is the run defense, which was already really good in 2022, led by Foye Oluokun and Devon Hamilton. The rest of that defensive front, they do a great job against the run. And then that special teams unit could be truly special. So the only reason I don't have the Jaguars rushing offense here is because last year they were not super efficient. I do love the running back room when you talk about Travis Etienne, Tank Bigsby, Jermichael Hasty, Dearness Johnson. But the run blocking unit was not super consistent up front. Do I think they'll take a step forward? Yes, I do. Do I think Travis Etienne will take a step forward in his ability to hold on to the football? Yeah, I think he showed that throughout the 2022 season. But he's also going to need to learn to make better reads, have a little bit better more vision more consistently. I think Tank Bigsby, I love what I've seen from him so far. I think he's going to be a really good back in the NFL, but you have not seen it on Sundays. And so for me, when I look at the totality of the running game, I think it's going to be a good running game. I think it's going to be an explosive running game, but is it going to be consistently one of the most efficient games in the NFL, one of the most consistent rushing attacks? I'm just not convinced of that heading into 2023. Will that be enough for the Jaguars to get past the divisional round of the playoffs? I'm not sure. I think we'll see how it plays out. I think they have a really good shot of winning their division. I think they're the favorites in their division. They should win their division, which should give them a home game at the very least in the wild card round. If they're able to do even more in the regular season and maybe earn more home field advantage throughout the playoffs, maybe earn the 1 seed somehow, even with the Chiefs, Bengals, and Bills looming. That's going to be a tall task, but I think the Jaguars have a team that can make some noise in the playoffs in 2023, even more noise than they did last year when they took the Chiefs to the brink in the divisional round of the playoffs. That'll do it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Love to know what you guys think about the Jaguars roster, about what they've got going on in terms of what their elite units are, their potentially elite units could be in 2023. Hit me up on Twitter at Jordan DeLugo. Please, if you enjoy the content, hit that like and subscribe button. Comment in the comment section below. Hit the notification bell so you do not miss a show on here. Check out ginjag.com/shop. Pick up some new Duval gear. Thanks for tuning in.